breaking his silence on the ordeal after months of speculation over their one-time relationship. His rep telling ET, although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve.
So these videos of Diddy with Justin Bieber when he was only 15 years old are resurfacing, and the one thing that I want to ask is, why was a 40-year-old hanging around with a 15-year-old?
Talk of the video comes after footage of Diddy and Justin also resurfaced on social media recently.
Not anyone could just be in the position that I'm in.
Video shows Diddy alongside teenage Justin, leaving people to speculate if, at the time, he subjected the pop star to his alleged freak-offs.
What just happened in that courtroom might go down in celebrity history, because we've got Justin Bieber officially distancing himself from one of the most powerful and controversial music moguls in the game. Now, it's no secret that Diddy is going through it, and reporters are saying that he allegedly lost after Justin started exposing him big time. It didn't take long before fans started connecting the dots. Most of them say that Justin's statements might make or break Diddy's chance of getting out of prison, which might explain a possible outburst from Puff. And nope, we're not just talking side-eye or courtroom tension. This was a full-blown meltdown, with alleged screaming, security stepping in, courtroom glass allegedly shattering, and legal teams scrambling to do damage control, all triggered by a single carefully worded statement from Justin's team. But here's the wild part. This wasn't just a random PR move. This wasn't about clout or headlines. This statement came after weeks of whispers, TikTok theories, and online speculation that Justin Bieber, once seen as Diddy's young protege, could be the next major celebrity to take the stand in this explosive sex trafficking and racketeering trial. Yup, people online were asking, is Justin Bieber about to testify against Diddy? Let's get into it. Ever since Cassie Ventura stepped into that courtroom and dropped bombshell after bombshell about her alleged abuse at the hands of Diddy, fans and legal analysts alike have been waiting to see who else might speak up. And Justin's name has been floating at the top of the rumor mill. Why? Because of his past ties to Diddy, his young age during their interactions, and those bizarre resurfaced videos showing Diddy proudly claiming to have Justin for 48 hours when the singer was just 15 years old. But let me tell you, that video is only one of the many instances people are mentioning. There are tons of clips online that might suggest how Justin became Diddy's victim, and now that Cassie is speaking up, fans are saying it's time for Justin to do the same. So when reporters asked Justin's reps whether he was planning to testify, or at least back up Cassie's version of events, there was tension in the air, like, everyone is waiting but will happen next because if Justin indeed agrees, it's going to be huge. But then, Justin Bieber's team finally responded. While they made it clear that Justin is not one of Diddy's victims, they didn't pull punches either.
Though Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. Bieber's questionable connection to Diddy piquing interest online as the rap mogul's indictment for trafficking and racketeering charges, which he denies, made headlines. Old clips of the two hanging out while Justin was underage resurfacing.
They acknowledged that there are real victims who were harmed by Diddy and said that trying to shift the focus away from that reality would be doing them a disservice. And that's when Diddy snapped. Well, allegedly at least. Now, let's back up and unpack how we got here, because this wasn't just any celebrity statement. This was years in the making. Justin Bieber and Diddy go way back. Back to the early 2000s and 10s when Bieber was still rocking that swoop haircut and melting tween hearts on YouTube. At the time, he was under the wing of Usher and Scooter Braun, but Diddy, who had mentored Usher in the past, also entered the picture. There's a now infamous video from around 2009 or 2010 titled 48 Hours with Diddy, where a 15-year-old Justin spends 2 days with the rap mogul. In the clip, Diddy is clearly playing the mentor card, but what struck fans as odd back then is even more chilling now. Diddy says on camera, "I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. We going full buck, full crazy.
You know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
At the time, it might have seemed like typical hip-hop bravado, and most people didn't even bat an eye. I mean, most people believe it was only normal for a mentor to spend time with his mentee, and no one was accusing Diddy of nasty freak-offs and such. Back then, he was still one of the biggest names in the industry, and trying to get close with Justin, who was an up-and-coming superstar, is pretty normal. But when you look at that video through the lens of 2024's mounting allegations against Diddy, it reads very differently. Especially when paired with Diddy's now well-documented history of allegedly grooming young artists, manipulating them through gifts and access, and potentially worse behind closed doors. What made the 48 Hours video so disturbing in retrospect is the strange tone and uncomfortable vibe that came through even back then. Justin, who was only 15, looked hesitant and uneasy in several moments. Something fans on social media have been rewatching and dissecting frame by frame. At the time, it might have been brushed off as a shy teen hanging out with a powerful figure in the industry. But now, it looks like something more sinister. There's a part in the video where Diddy practically brags about taking Justin under his wing for 2 full days and hints at undisclosed activities. He tells the camera, "We can't really disclose what we're doing, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream." That line alone sent a wave of unease through viewers in 2024, especially given what we now know about the allegations Diddy is facing. What exactly was that dream, and why did it need to be kept secret? Even Justin's body language in that video has become a focal point. Fans point out how his smiles seemed forced, how he avoided eye contact with Diddy at times, and how his posture seemed tense, like someone trying to play along while quietly hoping to leave.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy.
Comments on re-uploads of the video are flooded with people saying, "How did we not notice this before?" And "He looks terrified." It's as if the clues were there all along, hidden in plain sight. And it's not just that one clip. In the years that followed, every interaction between Bieber and Diddy has been re-examined. From awkward award show appearances to stiff interviews, fans have started to connect the dots, and they're not liking what they're seeing. Fast forward to 2024. Homeland Security raids Diddy's homes in LA and Miami. Boxes of electronics, hard drives, and alleged video footage of his notorious freak-offs are seized. Suddenly, the internet remembers that video of teenage Bieber with Diddy. Rumors start to swirl. Was Justin one of Diddy's victims? Was he exploited like others now stepping forward? Then, the courtroom bombshell drops. Week 1 of Diddy's sex trafficking and racketeering trial wraps up, and as testimonies get intense, Justin Bieber's representatives finally break their silence. They tell TMZ, although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. Let's pause right there. That might sound tame at first, but let's read between the lines. Bieber's team didn't say alleged victims. They said victims. And the phrase genuinely harmed? That's huge.
Justin may not have been abused, but he's not protecting Diddy either. He's drawing a clear line and pointing us back to the real issue.
Because it means Justin's camp is publicly acknowledging that Diddy has caused real damage. Not just scandalous rumors, not just tabloid drama, actual harm. That's what triggered Diddy's courtroom meltdown. Now, sources are claiming Diddy crashed out, and fans are also imagining how the music mogul might have slammed his fists on the defense table, shouting that Justin Bieber was lying, accusing the prosecution of turning his old friends against him. Justin's statement really hit the nerve. And it makes sense why. Because Justin Bieber isn't 50 Cent, who's been trolling Diddy for years. He's not an ex or a rival. He's someone Diddy once paraded around as a protege, a 15-year-old kid he once promised to mentor. That same kid just made it crystal clear, I'm not protecting you. And that's what makes this even more heartbreaking. Because back then, Justin probably thought Diddy was really looking out for him. He was just a teenager, fresh off YouTube, thrust into global superstardom, trying to navigate an industry full of sharks. When someone like Diddy, an icon in hip-hop, someone who had the connections, the money, the influence, extended his hand, Justin trusted him. And why wouldn't he? That's what every kid in the industry dreams of, being mentored by the greats. But what if that mentorship was a mask? What if Diddy's warm smile and flashy gifts were just bait? Because according to the whispers now echoing louder than ever, that's exactly what it was. Diddy allegedly lured Justin in with promises of guidance and protection, only to betray him in the most horrific way possible. Fans are saying that what Justin endured behind closed doors may have been the beginning of a long battle with mental health, substance abuse, and public breakdowns that would follow him into adulthood.
It was a time where I was sipping lean, I was popping pills, I was doing Molly, shrooms, everything. And it was just an escape for me. I was just young, like everybody in the industry and people in the world who experiment and do, just normal growing up things.
Let's not forget, Justin's struggles have been very public. Anxiety, depression, erratic behavior, canceled tours, social withdrawal. He once broke down crying on stage. Another time, he admitted to using drugs to escape his pain. And in hindsight, many are asking, was that pain caused by something deeper? Could that pain be traced back to betrayal and exploitation from someone he once called a mentor? We may never get a public confession from Justin about what really happened during those 48 hours or what went on in the years that followed. But the signs have always been there. His discomfort in videos with Diddy, the awkwardness, the forced smiles, the way he distanced himself quietly over time. And now, the statement from his reps confirms what many already suspected, that whatever happened between him and Diddy was not okay. And while Justin may not be taking the witness stand, his statement alone has sent shockwaves through the courtroom and through the industry. Because when one of Diddy's closest former associates steps back and says, "I believe the victims," that's not just a public relations move. That's a warning shot to anyone still protecting Diddy. It's also a message to the other victims, the ones who haven't come forward yet, the ones who are still scared. Justin's message is subtle, but it's powerful. You're not alone. I see you. I believe you. And that might be exactly what this case needed. Now, let's talk about the videos that had people speculating long before this trial even began. In another clip that surfaced around the time of the raids, Diddy is seen approaching Bieber in a recording studio, acting like an estranged uncle. Diddy tells him, "You don't call me anymore. You've changed." Bieber, clearly uncomfortable, responds that Diddy never got his new number. The energy is tense. Viewers called it creepy. Some even speculated that Bieber looked like he was trying to keep things cool while feeling cornered. But that tension wasn't just some awkward reunion between two celebrities who fell out of touch. Watching Diddy in that moment, he came off as unhinged, demanding, overbearing, and almost obsessed with re-establishing dominance over someone who clearly wanted space. It was like he couldn't stand the idea of Bieber growing up and pulling away. And more importantly, he didn't like losing control. Diddy's tone wasn't friendly or casual. It was accusatory. He was publicly calling Justin out for pulling away, as if to say, "You owe me." Fans noted how, in that moment, Diddy wasn't hiding who he really was. The facade of the cool mentor cracked, and what peeked through was something darker. A need for control, a desperate grasp at relevance, and a weird kind of emotional manipulation aimed at a visibly uncomfortable Bieber who didn't even try to fake warmth. He kept it short, gave clipped responses, and looked like he wanted the interaction to end as soon as possible. And it gets weirder. In 2021, during a public event, Diddy reportedly patted down Bieber's chest. Some people on social media claimed it looked like he was checking for a wire. Now, there's no hard proof of that, but the awkwardness between them was undeniable. Bieber's smile didn't reach his eyes. His posture was stiff. It was as if being in the same room with Diddy triggered something in him. Anxiety, maybe even fear. People online didn't miss that. They've been flooding comment sections with messages like, "He looks like a trauma survivor seeing his abuser," and "Justin's body language says everything." Because what we're seeing now isn't just awkwardness, it's vulnerability. A kind of internal flinching that happens when someone who once had power over you gets too close. Bieber's silence over the years is now being interpreted in a new light. Maybe he didn't speak out sooner because he couldn't. Because every time Diddy appeared in public, laughing and joking like nothing ever happened, Justin was silently trying to forget. Or maybe survive. What was once interpreted as Bieber being distant or bratty now looks more like trauma shielding, putting on a smile to avoid triggering someone unpredictable, shrinking himself to stay safe. Fans have even pointed out how Diddy's behavior around Justin always seemed performative on the surface, but controlling underneath. He'd make jokes at Bieber's expense, remind him of how much he'd helped him, talk about their bond in interviews while Justin sat stone-faced beside him. And now it's clear. That wasn't friendship. That was ownership. It paints a devastating picture, one where a young boy was taken in under the promise of mentorship, only to be used, possibly used, and discarded when he tried to grow beyond it. And even now, years later, Diddy's behavior suggests he still believes he has some kind of claim over Justin. But with that single statement from Bieber's team, that dynamic shattered, because this time, Justin didn't smile. He didn't laugh it off. He didn't fake it. This time, he said, "Enough." There's also Bieber's 2020 Apple Music interview where he says he wants to protect young artists like Billie Eilish from going through what he experienced in the industry. He didn't name names, but that comment hit different when Diddy's allegations began snowballing. In that interview, Bieber opened up about the toll the music industry took on him as a teen star. With tears welling in his eyes, he described the pressures of fame, the constant scrutiny, and the emotional isolation he felt.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. So if she ever needs me, I'm gonna be here for her, but yeah, just protecting those moments because people take for granted encounters, and I just want to protect her,
But what struck people the most was his deep concern for Billie Eilish, who at the time was just emerging as a global star. Bieber said he felt a responsibility to protect her, not just as a fellow artist, but as someone who had already seen how toxic and predatory the industry could be. "I just want to protect her," he said emotionally. "I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody." At the time, most viewers thought Bieber was just being sensitive and supportive. But with everything that's coming out about Diddy now, how he allegedly preyed on young talent, hosted disturbing parties, manipulated those in his circle, the subtext of Justin's words has taken on a whole new meaning. It's no longer just a general warning. It's starting to feel like a coded message from someone who lived through something dark. Bieber also talked about how difficult it was to handle the spotlight at a young age. He said he was constantly surrounded by people who wanted something from him, people who didn't care about his well-being. He emphasized how quickly praise can turn into pressure, and how those moments of loneliness can be dangerous when you don't know who to trust. Looking back, fans believe Justin was talking about more than just bad press and bad decisions. He was talking about trauma, about betrayal, about being taken advantage of by the very people who were supposed to guide him, and while he never said Diddy's name, the pieces are starting to fall into place. Justin's plea to protect Billie wasn't just an act of kindness, it was a reflection of his own pain.
I wanted to protect the moment, You know, I don't know how many opportunities I'm gonna get. You know, we never know how many opportunities we're gonna get with anybody. I mean, I'm tearing up thinking about it, just with the Kobe situation, you know? I just wanted to be a good example.
Literally, pain that he still hadn't fully unpacked. And now, with Diddy on trial and the details of his alleged crimes becoming public, it's clearer than ever what Bieber was really trying to say. Don't let them get to her. Don't let her go through what I did. And that makes his recent statement even more powerful. He's not naming names, he's not testifying, but he's making it clear. Something happened, and he's doing what he can, in his own way, to stop it from happening again. Because once upon a time, he was Billy. Young, talented, vulnerable. And someone was supposed to protect him. They didn't. Now, while Bieber himself hasn't publicly accused Diddy of abuse, his carefully worded statement confirms two things. One, he wants nothing to do with the man anymore, and two, he believes the victims. That's a big deal, especially coming from someone who was once so closely linked to Diddy. And the timing of the statement? Not random. Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex, just wrapped a brutal week of testimony detailing years of alleged abuse, control, and coercion. The defense tried to discredit her using old texts and steamy messages, but her narrative of trauma still landed hard. The prosecution now needs independent witnesses, people who weren't romantically involved with Diddy but still knew what was going on. That's why all eyes were on Justin. There was even a deep fake video floating on TikTok last week claiming Bieber was going to testify against Diddy. It was quickly debunked, but the fact that it blew up so fast shows how much people want to hear from him.
I am absolutely going to testify. I won't even say his name. He is an evil being, and it's going to pay.
With Cassie's testimony putting the spotlight on Diddy's pattern of abuse, the prosecution is likely looking for celebrity corroboration. Not necessarily people who were abused, but people who saw things. And Bieber? He was there. And even though Justin may never take the witness stand, his story could be the missing puzzle piece that opens a new chapter in this entire ordeal. His quiet presence, his subtle reactions, and his recently released statement serve as more than just support. They help frame a larger narrative of Diddy's long-standing pattern of manipulation and abuse. By stepping back from Diddy and acknowledging the reality of harmed victims, Bieber essentially cracked the dam that's been holding back a flood of stories. In the courtroom, the strength of Cassie's testimony lies not just in what she says, but in who and how many back her up. When someone as high profile as Justin Bieber publicly distances himself from Diddy and makes a statement that validates the victims, it enhances Cassie's credibility tenfold. Her claims no longer seem isolated. They become part of a pattern of grooming, control, and silence. And this is key for the prosecution. Because even if Bieber never describes what he saw or experienced, his history with Diddy is already well documented. The videos, the interviews, the awkward interactions, the footage that shows his clear discomfort, all of it paints a picture. And that picture can be used to support the prosecution's claims that Diddy had a history of inappropriate behavior, especially toward the vulnerable and impressionable. It's not just about proving Diddy abused Cassie. It's about showing that this was his modus operandi, a repeat pattern of behavior targeting the young and the trusting. And Justin Bieber? He was young, he was trusting, and he pulled away. That withdrawal alone speaks volumes. The prosecution could argue that someone doesn't go from idolizing a mentor to completely cutting them off unless something serious went down. And while Bieber may want to avoid the media circus of testifying, his past is already doing the talking. His evolution from Diddy's protege to silent observer, and now to vocal ally of the victims, provides a narrative arc that makes Cassie's allegations look even more plausible. And what happens if other celebrities follow suit? What if Bieber's carefully worded statement gives courage to others who were once in Diddy's orbit? That's how cases like this build momentum, not just from hard evidence, but from cultural shifts, from people connecting dots, recognizing patterns, and speaking up. So, whether he's sitting in the courtroom or not, Justin Bieber's presence looms large, And it's not just casting a shadow over Diddy's defense. It's casting light on a truth that's been hiding in plain sight for far too long. Now, some folks online are saying that if Bieber really knew something, he should have said something years ago. But remember, we're talking about a kid who was thrown into the deep end of the industry at 12 years old, surrounded by power, money, NDAs, and manipulation.
The fact that Diddy even had access to Justin Bieber when he was 14 for 48 hours unsupervised is fucking crazy. Some parents are so fucking desperate and thirsty for money or some type of celebrity, even if it's through their children. I mean, we see it every day on social media, right? What's that lady's name, Ren, where she's posting her daughter in all these sexually explicit like positions or in outfits that's...
It's not that easy to speak out against someone like Diddy when you're just trying to survive. And that brings us to the big question. Could Justin Bieber still end up testifying? At this point, it seems unlikely. His team made it clear he doesn't want to be involved. But that statement, it might be just enough. Just enough to validate Cassie and the other victims. Just enough to shake up Diddy's confidence. Just enough to send a signal to other celebs who might be on the fence about coming forward. And the ripple effect? It's just beginning. Because this isn't just about freak-offs or drug-fueled parties. This is about power, manipulation, and the industry's dirtiest secrets finally being dragged into the light. And Justin Bieber, one of the most protected and heavily managed stars of his generation, just flipped the script on his terms. When someone like Bieber, who's been quiet for years, who's avoided drama, who's focused on healing, makes a move this loud without ever raising his voice, that's strategy, that's precision, that's damage. This is the part in the story where the floodgates start to crack. His one statement has already shifted the tone in the courtroom. Suddenly, the defense can't just paint Cassie as a disgruntled ex, because now there's a second narrative forming, and it's coming from someone who has nothing to gain and everything to protect. And here's the twist. Justin may not be done. If more damaging evidence emerges, if more victims speak out, if the trial gets messier, which it will, Bieber's statement might not be the last time we hear from him, because if there's one thing he's made clear, it's that he stands with the truth, even if he has to do it silently. The industry is watching, the media is watching, and most importantly, the victims are watching. This isn't just about whether Diddy ends up behind bars. It's about whether the culture of silence, protection, and denial that has shielded powerful men for decades finally begins to crumble. And if that happens, Justin Bieber will be remembered as one of the first to pull the pin. Diddy's already fighting for his freedom, but now he's also fighting the narrative and losing. One former protege at a time. We'll keep you posted if anything else drops. Because if there's one thing we've learned from this trial, it's that no one, no matter how rich or famous, is off limits anymore. Stay tuned, because this is far from over.